Hello and welcome to episode 90 of Glitch Report. My name is GnittWitt. Thank you so much for stopping by, saying hi, kicking it with me today on the stream of dreams. You can find everything that I do over at my Linktree, linktree.com/GnittWitt, GnittWitt, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky. I am there. Come and get me. Anyways, no, but seriously, posting a lot of good stuff on Instagram and TikTok specifically. So if you're like, I would like to see some of the short form videos that my good friend GnittWitt has been producing, I should go check out his TikTok or his Instagrams. And that's probably what you're saying to yourself. And that's exactly what you should be doing. But stick around for this episode because we got a great episode. It is you might be thinking to yourself, as you often do, this is not Thursday morning. This is what is going on the GnittWitt show, formerly known as the GnittWitt. Oh, Wednesday, we are out of the loop. That's okay. It is Wednesday morning at the time of this recording because some real life stuff is preventing me from recording when I typically would be, which is on a Thursday morning. So we got a wet and wild Wednesday morning podcast for you. Full version, like the audio version, the video version is going to be up on it's going to be up on Thursday morning. So if you are not here live with me, you can listen to the full version on Thursday if you would like. But yeah, some real life stuff has gotten in the way of me streaming Thursday morning, which is fine. For full context, my dad is doing some big renovations around his house. Getting some flooring in, and my dad is a handyman. He is a real Tim the Tool Man Taylor type cat. So he's getting the flooring, and he would like my help in helping procure the flooring, among other things. We got to drive out a fair bit to go get it, among other things. So yeah, Thursday morning, I'm going to drop that ass to the flow. And help my dad with some flooring business. So that's why we cannot do the show on Thursday. But you know what? Listen, I don't mind helping. I'm sure it's going to be physically exhausting to get my hands dirty, as Pug and a Burrito in chat kind of brings up, getting my hands dirty. It's probably going to be hard work doing flooring business. And to be honest, I at times can be so useless that my dad just thinks, you know what, I'll just do it myself. And that's not me trying to do it on purpose. That's just me being one of those piece of shit millennials, the way the media likes to portray us as, which is fine because I run a video game podcast. So I have to be some sort of lazy dirtbag. I mean, who else would do things like this and consider it work? But listen, I don't mind helping my dad. I love my dad. Call me Peter Griffin because I am a family guy. So I don't mind doing some flooring, but that's why we are here. That's one of the worst intros to the show I think I have ever done. But that is the intro to this episode 90, and I'm going to stick to it, damn it. We got a hell of a show. If you have been checking out my TikToks and my Instagrams, you know that I did a video on former Blizzard president Mike Ybarra. Mike Ybarra out there talking that shit, talking about the idea that we should be able to tip game developers. We're going to talk about that later on in the show. Nintendo has announced it is not going to Gamescom. We're going to get into maybe why that is and what we can expect from Nintendo in terms of game-related news throughout the rest of this year. We got some Blizzard news in terms of Microsoft's ownership of Blizzard, some PlayStation news, some Take-Two news, some Hasbro news, Ubisoft, you name it. Plus, I didn't put in my notes because I'm terrible at preparing for the show at times, but we are going to talk about Fallout, the TV show. No spoilers. No spoilers for anyone out there who has not watched it yet or is not finished. I'm not finished myself. So please, no spoilers in chat, among other things. But we're going to talk Fallout, the TV show. We're also going to talk Fallout 4 and also Fallout 76. People are getting into Fallout, getting back into Fallout. Whatever the case may be, two of the biggest games, kind of attracting an audience right now. I don't have the news story. Maybe I should pull it up during our first break. But the Fallout games have grown to be very popular due to the popularity of the show. Two of those big popular games being Fallout 4 and Fallout 76, the most recent of the two Fallout games, or the most recent of the Fallout games, compared to something like 3, New Vegas 1 and 2, all that stuff. So we're going to talk about that, but let's kick things off. I'm going to get this out of the way because I already did the video on it. You should go check out that video on TikTok and Instagram. But former Blizzard boss Mike Ybarra suggests that players should be able to tip devs after finishing a game. Mike Ybarra, former Blizzard president, suggesting we should be able to tip game devs after finishing a game. And I kind of alluded to it on the video, so this is more of like maybe a follow-up to that video. So if you're missing some context, again, go watch the video. But I believe that tipping culture is getting a little out of hand these days. Here's the thing. It's not that I'm not a generous soul. It's not that I'm not an empathetic soul. I'm very familiar with, things like customer service work and working with the public and working to serve other people. I fucking get it. Very, very familiar with how that stuff works. And I'll tell you right now that I wouldn't be doing it and I wouldn't be familiar with it if I didn't enjoy it. However, and just full disclosure, like what I do outside of these shows, I do not get tips. I don't get any of that stuff. And that's fine. I think if I did, it would potentially muddy the work that I do and the relationship I form with the people I work with and work for and all that stuff. So this is not, I just need to get that out of the way. This is not me saying, oh my God, yet another person who's potentially in a position to make tips, except for me. Like, no. What I am, however, saying is that it feels more and more like tipping is used not to thank somebody for their services, not to express gratitude for the service that was provided, but instead as a way of potentially helping to fund some of the wages for the people that are involved in that service. Now, listen, I know times are tough. I know inflation is out of this world. I know that the restaurant that your favorite restaurant now is probably significantly more expensive than it was, a year, 2, 3 years ago. Like there's a good potential that menu to your favorite restaurant is almost unrecognizable. And the reason I bring up the restaurant kind of analogies because we often think about, waiters and waitresses and wait staff and bartenders and those sorts of people that are, directly coming back to you every now and then with, whatever, your chicken fingers and your fucking macaroni and cheese or whatever you know what I mean? So like, again, I'm using that as an example because it's one of the most common examples of, certainly in Western society, for tipping, though, people also tip their mail carrier. They also, they'll tip their hairdresser, their barber. Luckily for me, being a bald boy, I don't have to tip my barber nothing. I just give myself a pat on the back and say, good job, GnittWitt. You did it, bro. Looking out here, looking like a nerdy Stone Cold Steve Austin with the bald hair. Oh boy, give me a hell yeah. We're already off track. Here's what Mike said. Let me just read to you what Mike said, and then we're going to go a little bit further with it, okay? Mike Ybarra wrote this on Twitter. I hate that people still call it X, but whatever. This is what Mike Ybarra said. Mike wrote on Twitter saying, quote, when I beat a game, there are some that just leave me in awe of how amazing the experience was. I've often thought, I wish I could give these folks another $10 or $20 because it was worth more than my initial $70, and they didn't try and nickel and dime me every second. Now, I mentioned this in the video. I'm going to say it here. I just don't think Mike is used to games not nickel and diming people to death, considering he used to work at Blizzard. A company that was selling, Overwatch skins and battle passes for Diablo 4 and customizable armor and premium currency and this and that and yada, yada, yada. I mean, Blizzard is part of the same company that is putting Cheech and Chong in Call of Duty, and who knows how much Cheech and Chong are going to cost when they eventually come to Call of Duty. So like, we compare that with something like, and people will always use this game, and I don't like the reputation this game has made for how it is supposed to represent the industry as a whole. The fact of the matter is that this game that I'm going to compare the Blizzard games to is actually an outlier. It is the exception to the rule. And it's, if I know anything about the way this industry works and how capitalism works and how, the rich get richer, this is going to forever be an example of, an exception to the rule. But you compare, the Blizzard games where it's basically a shopping mall with some amount of gameplay in it, compared to something like Baldur's Gate 3, where you paid your money, they didn't ask for anything else, and you got a full, complete experience that also happened to be a very technically sound and very good game. But again, no matter how long Larian makes games for, no matter how long, they continue to develop games for, I think their games will always be the exception to the rule, because there will always be people out there who are holding the purse strings that also have creative control over the games as well. So I just want to say that. Now, Ybarra is quick to point out in the same post that most will dislike this idea and that we are tired of tipping and everything else, but I view this different from a pressure to tip type scenario. And so yes, I'll go. I didn't talk about this in the video, but I will go there. The idea that I buy a game and there is no bullshit to buy in the game, and then at the end credits roll and they're like, $20, whatever. Like, while it may seem potentially blasphemous, in terms of them kind of sticking out money. That's why I don't go to church anymore. Oh boy, I'm just going to offend everybody. That's why I don't go to church anymore, because they're like, hey man, what did you think of this thing you went to? You want to? I'm like, no, I'm not. What? No, you don't even fucking pay tax. Speaking, like, boy, we're going to get off the rails here. You talk about how like these big corporations and big businesses hardly pay their taxes compared to the working people. Same reason why I don't go to church and donate to them, because I'm like, you don't even pay fucking taxes. I'm the one over here should be getting tipped, not. Anyways, point is, Ybarra lists games such as Horizon Zero Dawn, God of War, Red Dead Redemption 2, Baldur's Gate 2, but I'm assuming 3, and Elden Ring as examples of games that made him consider this tipping model. I would just like to point out that Red Dead Redemption 2's online multiplayer is filled with microtransactions and other shit that you can spend your money on. Elden Ring has a paid expansion that you can buy. You can go buy that paid expansion when it comes out. So let's actually go a little bit deeper into the idea of tipping game developers. I don't like the idea. I think it's a bad idea. Especially when it comes to these big AAA game developers, because I already think that the distribution of finance and purchases and money is already very, very murky, right? So let's go with his idea. So let's say I tip $20 to the people that make the next Call of Duty. Where does that money go? Who gets that money? When I tip people like my barista, which I don't. First of all, if you're just making coffee, I'm not tipping you. I'm not tipping you. I'm not fucking call me a goddamn heartless monster. I am not. If you make the coffee, I'm not tipping you. If I am sitting at a diner, restaurant, whatever, whether there's coffee involved or not, then sure. I feel like we're getting like so close to me exposing myself as the Larry David of the video game industry, but and then next thing you know, I'm in fucking jail. But the point is, there are plenty of scenarios where I don't tip, and I don't think I feel comfortable with the way the pay structure is in the game industry, especially when it relates to these AAA companies, to want to tip people like the Blizzard company or the people that make Call of Duty. But again, I'd like to just ask the question: if I tip the people that make Call of Duty, where does that money go? Where's the money go? Can I just tip to the art department because I like the way the fucking Cheech and Chong character model looks? Do I can I tip to the sound department because I was playing Call of Duty late at night and the gunfire reminded my grandfather of his PTSD, like, because it was just so real. Like, where does the money go? He doesn't have an answer for that because he's just talking out of his ass, but that's something to consider, is where does the money go when you tip? The other thing I would like to say is that in games that have, you know, various options to purchase additional things, purchase costumes, purchase battle passes, purchase season passes, purchase character upgrades and skins. Like, in a scenario where I've already spent $70 on Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, and then I go and I buy the Snoop Dogg character pack, and I buy the Cheech and Chong character pack, and I buy maybe a season or two of the battle pass, where does that money go? I'm not saying that is technically considered a tip, but am I not putting more money into the pockets of these developers in theory? Are they not? Is there not the reason why they sell additional content for the game that already exists is because the profit margin is significantly higher than making a new game, right? They already have a lot of the technology, a lot of the assets, and a lot of investments made into the game that allow them to produce more content cheaper than producing a whole game. So you would think that by spending an additional $70 on in the game on additional content, that they will have pocketed more of that money than if you had bought the game, not pocket, but it had been turned into pure profit more than if they had made a new game. Now, I'm not saying that like making additional content for a game is cheap or easy or any of that stuff. I'm just saying the reason that they do it is because they don't have to make another game as quickly, with the exception of something like Call of Duty, with the exception of something like Madden, where they're trying to have their cake and eat it too, make a game every year while also producing, purchasable content. So to me, especially when it comes to the big AAA game developers, your Rockstars, your Sonys, your Microsofts, your Bethesdas, your Call of Duty, developer, I just refuse to even entertain the idea of tipping these game developers. I simply refuse, because I do not trust the powers that be to allow my tipping to go towards the people that deserve it the most. Right? The other thing I would say is that if you are looking to tip, you should probably be doing, I should say you should be doing, I don't tip, whatever. I don't fucking care. I do care if you tip to the AAA developers, because I think that's just silly. But if you are going to tip, you could consider tipping to people like the independent game developers, these smaller, independent developers out there, maybe a team of 5, 2, 3, 10, whatever, right? Like the smaller indie devs who have razor thin margins as relates to money going in versus money coming out from their game development, and maybe don't have the support to market their game, don't have the support to get people on Twitch playing it or making YouTube videos or whatever. So just hear me out for a moment. There are plenty of game developers, independent game developers, that offer virtual tip jars and ways to donate. It is a rarity compared to big budget gaming. This is something that Video Games Chronicles points out. As always, shout out to Video Games Chronicles. But if we're talking game developers, independent game developers for a moment, I would like to pitch some ideas for you if you do want to support indie developers and are inspired in some way by what Mike Ybarra wrote in regards to tipping. So, first of all, you should buy the game. Straight up, if you like the game, if you want to support the developers, buy their game. Probably the best way to do that is to buy the game day one at launch. Upon buying that game day one at launch, assuming the game's good, if the game's a piece of shit, like this is all hypothetical, but let's say your favorite indie dev put out a new game and it's what you want, but you want it to be the biggest game that they've made. Here's how to do it. Buy the game at launch, pay for full price for the game. And also look to see if you can buy the game from the developer directly, right? For example, Sony takes a 30% cut, with every purchase. Same with, Microsoft and Steam and Epic Games. Like, they all take cuts when you buy the game. In some cases, and this might more apply to PC gaming, but in some cases you can buy the game directly from the developer. And then the only cuts that they're probably going to be hitting are the cuts that PayPal or Visa or MasterCard or whatever are taking from processing purchase fees. But if you want to buy directly from the game developer, or just buy from whatever your favorite store is. So that's number one. Buy the game full price. In some cases, you can gift the game to other people. Steam, I've talked about it before. Steam gives you the option to buy a game and give it to a friend, which you could do that. So if you want to spread the love, share the love of the game, I've done that before. I talked to my good friend Karch, who's been on the podcast before, and I was like, "Yo, man, I fucking love this game. One of my favorite games in recent memory. I'm gonna buy it for you, and I'd like for you to, if you get the chance to play it, I think you're really gonna like it, right?" Now, for instance, I bought that game on sale. Well, whatever. It's still a sale of the game that they wouldn't have gotten otherwise. But there's a couple other ways. So you might be thinking, okay, well, GnittWitt, so far the only way to support these indie game developers is to either tip them with some sort of virtual tip jar thing that they got, buy the game, or buy the game for somebody else. What else can I do? Well, I would just like to say that, like, being a supportive and positive member of that game's community can go a long way. If you want to go and, hit the ground running, bang pots and pans in the street or virtual streets in form of Twitter and say, hey, this game's great. People need to play this game. Check this game out. If you want to feel like you need to champion for that game, by all means do so. And then I would say, like, kind of part two of that is, be a positive and a member of the community, be inviting to that community. If you find people have questions about the game or are stuck on the game or have, looking for tips and tricks or advice or just want to talk about it, like, be cool about the game. Don't be some gatekeeping dickhead being like, I like the game before it was cool. Like, nobody likes that guy. Stop it. Don't be that guy. And then I would also say, like, engage with the game on social media. If the game developers are putting out pictures, if you want to do fan art, if you want to tweet, and engage with the developers, if you want to retweet, if you want to share, if you want to stream the game on Twitch, if you want to stream the game on Twitch, if you want to make videos of the game on YouTube, like, that is all ways of engaging with the game. And supporting the developers for free. It might cost you your time, but you can do it for free if you want to as well. And like I said, if you do really want to tip, I do believe that tipping things like the smaller indie game developers is going to go a hell of a lot further than the people that make the next Fallout game, than the people that make the next fucking Overwatch character skin, because they're already charging $70 for the game. Compared to something like indie devs, there are very few indie devs that are charging $70 for their games. But Blizzard is already charging full price for Diablo, plus they're putting in a whole bunch of other ways to spend more money in the game. And if they believe that, like, the skyrocketing development costs and economic changes are making producing these games harder and harder, they need to consider scaling down the design philosophy and production values of these big AAA games, or they need to charge more upfront, or this goes back to the Tekken argument of how do you get, all that money from your most hardcore fans. That's why they sell the ultra expensive version of the fucking, Star Wars Outlaws expansion pack plus the game thing at launch before the game's even out. So I just, like, I'm not saying I don't feel for developers, especially AAA developers. People shit on AAA developers a lot. I know that they're just people making games and listening to their bosses or doing whatever. But I just don't think that, like, I don't tip, like, it would have to be. So I'll give you an example. I just said that I don't tip, like, the baristas, like people who make my coffee, but I will at a diner. I'm getting food and stuff like that. I don't tip at McDonald's. I don't tip at Starbucks. I don't tip at the Tim Hortons. And that's just me. That's just me personally. Right. However, I think the only time I would make that exception is if I was shopping at a smaller local, family owned or like it would have to be a small business. It wouldn't be a big business, right? And that's why I would say if I were to make the exception for tipping, it would have to be at a local coffee shop, not some big chain. And if I were to tip game developers, it would probably be in the form of indie devs. But like I said, there are many ways to support these businesses and smaller businesses without, money. In fact, even your probably favorite local coffee shop probably has like an Instagram page or something like that. Like if you really want to get involved and support these businesses, there are ways to do that beyond tipping. I know that the end all be all, cash rules everything around me. The Wu-Tang Clan said it best, but I just think this tipping culture is getting a little out of control. And I would also say that like the people with the most amount of money, your big wigs, people like Mike Ybarra, are potentially trying to weaponize the working class's empathy towards each other in an attempt to pay his people less money so that you will then pay more in the form of tipping to support these people, which is getting into a whole conspiracy theory, whatever you want to call it, economics, whatever. I'm not here to have that discussion. I'm going to toss out that idea like a hand grenade and walk away from it while I, look back and don't see the explosion or whatever you want to say, euphemism, metaphors. Point is, there is that possibility too, right? That, a big wig like Mike Ybarra is like, well, if I got more people to tip the game developers, I could pay them less, which is what you already see in the restaurant industry, among other services. So that is something to consider as well. We are going to take a quick break and we're going to come back with more news. Stick around. We will be right back. Welcome back to the podcast. Let's dive a little bit deeper into news. Nintendo won't be attending Gamescom 2024. We've kind of talked about this already, that the possibility that they have delayed the Nintendo Switch 2 to next year, which is going to really screw up a lot of Nintendo's plans, because as of right now, Nintendo does not have a ton of games announced. And I think a lot of the games that are in development were originally planning to come out around the time of the Switch 2, which would have been this year. Gamescom is happening in Cologne, Germany from August 21st to 25th. One of the biggest gaming, showcases around, in a world where we don't have E3 anymore, and we have Gamescom, and we have Sony used to do, and I don't know if Sony still does, but Sony used to do a lot of Paris Games Week. Of course, we have TGS, Tokyo Game Show, which again isn't quite as popular as it used to be. And then we also have Summer Game Fest, Jeff Keighley, and a lot of people also hold a lot of presentation announcements for things like the Game Awards. But in a statement issued to German publication Games Wirtschaft, a spokesperson for the company said it would not be an exhibitor at this summer's event. Gamescom 2024 organizers have yet to announce the exhibitor list for the show, which is scheduled to take place in Cologne, Germany from August 21st to the 25th. Nintendo attended last year's Gamescom as an exhibitor. According to VGC sources, the company also used the event to show off tech demos for the Switch 2 behind closed doors. Now, Video Games Chronicles reported in February that Nintendo had internally delayed the launch of its next-gen console from this year to early 2025. One publishing source suggested the delay was so that it could prepare stronger first-party software for the console, while others have claimed the move was made to avoid potential hardware supply chain issues, much like we saw with the Xbox Series X and S and the PlayStation 5. And as a reminder, Nintendo shut down online play for the 3DS and Wii U this month, having already closed the eShops for both systems in March of 2023. Players can still play the games offline, according to Nintendo. Is also stated that the Pokemon Bank and Pokemon eTransporter will remain online, presumably since they're still used by players and use online connectivity as their central mechanic. So, I mean, it just goes to show that like now Nintendo is all in on the Switch, which is getting very long in the tooth, and it's going to be longer than they anticipated. um, for them to get the Switch 2 out the door, which means they don't have a lot to show. Like if let's say absolute latest Switch 2 out March of next year, are they going to have anything to show by August? I don't think so. It's probably at this point, they're probably thinking, oh, fuck it, we kicked the can down the road. And maybe we have some shit to show around the time of the Game Awards. Though really, if I was the problem with doing like a showcase for the Switch 2 around the Game Awards is the Game Awards happens around the Christmas time and holiday shopping and all of that stuff. People would be pissed if they bought a Switch for the holidays and only to find out that the Switch is being replaced by the Switch 2. So if I was Nintendo, I'm probably aiming for, gosh, let's say Switch 2 comes out in March. I think they do maybe a month of marketing starting in February of some kind, right? You know, get out of the New Year's in January, and I would start marketing that, you know, maybe, you know, middle of February, end of February for a middle to end of March release, which means that it makes sense, you know, no offense to Gamescom. It's not the Summer Game Fest. It is not the Game Awards. And as such, probably means that if Nintendo's going to put their efforts into anything, it's making sure that they have shit to get out the door for early 2025. Microsoft's talking about Blizzard, since they now own Blizzard. This is a weird quote, but you know, I'm not going to try to read too much into it, though that's literally my job as the host of the podcast. Let's read the headline. I'm like Jay Leno doing headlines. Microsoft has Microsoft has, quote, let Blizzard be Blizzard, following its acquisition, the studio says. That's according to Holly Longdale, executive producer and vice president of World of Warcraft, who discussed that life at Microsoft has been like, Holly Longdale has discussed what life at Microsoft has been like for the developer during a recent interview with Video Games Chronicles. This is part of an interview that Video Games Chronicles ran. Let's read the quote. Quote, if anything, it's just been helpful. We got time with Helen Chang from Mojang. Mojang are the people that do Minecraft. And we are sharing information, so it's almost as if we have access to what worked for them. We got to speak to the Elder Scrolls Online team and share what we're up to and what's been working. It's almost like we get a benefit. She continued, there's no one asking us to do anything. World of Warcraft is doing very well, and they're very proud of what's been what it's been able to accomplish. So it's almost like just let it be and let it keep being awesome. They've been tremendously supportive, and it's like, quote, let Blizzard be Blizzard. So I think we've talked about this before in regards to what sort of control Microsoft is going to have on its developers, right? Microsoft probably, almost certainly, very much does not want to have another Redfall on its hands, where they bought the developer, middle of the cycle of development, in this case in the form of Bethesda, and Arcane Studios in Texas. I think it was not the main studio. Point is, they buy this game during development and it comes out and it's a fucking turd, right? The last thing that Microsoft wants is to put their name on a shining turd as it's coming out the door. But on the other hand, they really don't want to burn some of their best and brightest talent by being helicopter parents, a la, you know, constantly bothering the people that have been making listen, the people that make World of Warcraft know how to make World of Warcraft. What they need is support, an appropriate level of support by their superiors, by the people, the parent company and all of this stuff, right? The last thing they need is the dummies that ran Activision breathing down their throats, you know, trying to make it something it's not, right? So in order for Blizzard to succeed, what they need is support, time, and to just be mostly left the fuck alone, because I do believe that a lot of the shit that we've seen with Blizzard in terms of Overwatch and recent games by them, a lot of that stems from trying to squeeze blood from a stone in terms of monetization in their games. And more importantly, which I mean, whatever, the birds have flew the coop in terms of monetization in games. Like, they're going to nickel and dime you to death no matter what, no matter who owns them. That doesn't matter. But I truly believe that if you just left these people alone and gave them the support that they need, didn't harass them like, members of the Activision company did, I think you'd probably get better games out of Blizzard. Just let Blizzard be Blizzard. And maybe I'll be proven wrong. Maybe Blizzard's going to shit the bed on their next game, whatever. I don't know. But I believe that if you let these companies do what they do, they will be good. The only exception being that I think there was a lot of trouble development around Redfall, which I think was too little too late by the time Microsoft got around to them. PlayStation is officially bringing trophies to the PC. Ghost of Tsushima will feature the same trophy list as the base game. Players who sign into their PSN accounts on PC will be able to earn trophies. The list of trophies is the same as the PS5 version of the game, but it's not clear if the list will be treated as separate from the PS5 version, as is the case with games that have both PS4 and PS5 versions of the game. Fuck, I forgot that Ghost of Tsushima is out in like a month. Holy shit, Ghost of Tsushima is out in a month. The game will release on PC May 16th. A new PlayStation PC overlay will also debut with the release of Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut. Nixxes Software's one of Nixxes Software's developers put out a statement saying, Ghost of Tsushima's Director's Cut is the first PlayStation title on PC that uses the new PlayStation overlay, which includes your friends list, trophies, settings, and your profile. This feature will be available on Windows PC and will be accessible from the in-game menu for keyboard players by using the Shift F1 shortcut on their keyboard. While playing the game, you can earn PlayStation trophies just like on the PlayStation consoles. Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut on PC shares the same trophy set as the PlayStation 5 console version. In addition, the PC version will also have support for achievements on Steam and Epic Games Store. To make use of features like trophies, friends list, and crossplay, you can sign in using your existing PlayStation Network account or create a new one. The use of PlayStation's overlay is optional for both single-player experiences and Legends mode. Legends mode being the multiplayer version. I really wish that Horizon Forbidden West had trophies in it, because I would feel more inclined to do a lot of the collectibles and clean up a lot of the side content in that game. I've also been, I'm going to admit, I've been just very slow with Horizon Forbidden West. Forgive me if I have not finished it yet. It'd be nice if I got it done before Ghost of Tsushima came out. I don't quite know just yet, but yeah, I'm looking for it. Listen, I like trophies. Like, people think like, oh, GnittWitt, you're just hating on PlayStation. You don't fucking like trophies. You hate everything PlayStation because you're a PC gamer. No, I've wanted this since they put out the first PlayStation game on PC. In fact, I would argue that they should have had it at launch, but here we are. Just for people to know that before switching to PC gaming, I was like deep into PlayStation. And then that's not me bragging. That's not me trying to justify whatever, but like, I hate to do this because this is going to seem like such an asshole thing. I'm going to go to the PlayStation app on my phone. The way the trophies are broken down on PlayStation is a little weird, but here we go. On PlayStation trophies, I'm level 348. I have 5,258 trophies total. I have 8 platinum, 144 gold, 753 silver, and 4,353 bronze. That is shit that I've collected since the PlayStation 3 originally came out. Don't tell me I don't like trophies, because at one point, all right, quick news story. There was a time, especially on the PlayStation 3, when I was so into getting trophies that I played pieces of shit games just because I read online that they were a good source of trophies. A great example of this is Terminator Salvation for the PlayStation 3. A terrible game. It's Terminator Salvation is like a third-person cover-based shooter. Like it's you're basically doing like Uncharted stuff, but without the climbing, and it stinks. It's a terrible game. But I don't even know if I can fucking find this. I wish I could search for the trophies on. This isn't gonna work. I'm gonna have to scroll so far. I don't even think I'm gonna be able to find it. Yeah, this doesn't load. Let me see if I can pull it up on a Terminator Salvation trophies. It's such a stupid thing. Such a stupid thing I'm doing. Terminator Salvation trophies. Thank God for psnprofiles.com. So check this out. Check this out. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There are, okay. Terminator Salvation for the PlayStation 3. There are 12 trophies. Okay. Every trophy, with the exception of the platinum, is a gold trophy. Okay. Because I don't know what the fuck the people were doing that made this game, but they're like, yeah, I guess we'll just put it all to we'll put them all to gold. Okay, so check this out. There are 9 levels in the game. There are 9 levels in the game. Okay, so every time you beat a level in Terminator Salvation, you get a gold trophy just for beating the level on any difficulty. And then the 2 other gold trophies are beat the game on medium difficulty or beat the game on hard difficulty. If you beat the game on hard difficulty, it'll automatically unlock your medium trophy. And by playing through it, you'll have unlocked all the other trophies and will immediately give you the platinum. So all you need to do is play through Terminator Salvation, which is a short, terrible game, once on hard difficulty, and you will get every single trophy, which is why, according to psnprofiles.com, 53% of people got the platinum trophy in Terminator Salvation, which is that is a high amount. I cannot stress enough. The platinum trophies, I wish I could sort by the platinums that I earned on this app, but c'est la vie. Point is, I played some terrible games to get the platinum. Now, fun fact, I did not get the platinum in Terminator Salvation because what I originally did was play through the game on medium, and then I was like, yeah, I guess I can go back and play it on hard. And I hated my time with Terminator Salvation so much that I gave up playing it on hard because it's a bad game. It's a bad game. You should look it up. You should look it up if you have time. Point is, like, I love trophies. I have more of an emotional connection to trophies than I do achievements on Xbox, because when I go to Xbox achievements, you know, I'm playing a lot of Xbox games on PC, whatever, right? There are times when I am actually deciding whether to play the game on Steam or on the Xbox app because of trophies. But at the end of the day, like, I look at my trophies, I have 25,000 trophies. Achievements. When I look at my Xbox profile, I have 25,000 achievements. The reason why, actually, I should back up. I have 25,000 achievement points because on Xbox, they are all just a different points value. So, for example, in Fallout 76, you get 10 points for gathering 200 pieces of junk in the game. You get 10 points just for leaving Vault 76. It's not based on a rarity score, gold, platinum, silver. It's just the higher the reward points are is probably going to tell you how rare or difficult the achievement is. So that's why in Fallout 76, I have 3 achievements with a score of 50. Point is, I have just more of a connection to trophies and achievements. I have moved away to achievements because of just playing more, Xbox games with the Xbox, account and stuff. But I'm looking forward to achievements. Fuck it, man. Maybe this is maybe GnittWitt is gonna get a platinum trophy in Ghost of Tsushima director's cut. It has been too long. Let's move on. Now, I know what you're thinking, because I'm thinking the same thing. It has been too long since we had a news story about the video game industry doing another mass layoff. Well, good news. Your friends and mine at GTA parent company Take-Two Interactive is cutting 5% of its workforce. Game projects will be canceled as part of the cuts. Now, you might be thinking, how much is 5% of Take-Two Interactive, the publisher who produces Grand Theft Auto? 5% is around 600 people. 600 people. In a statement published on Tuesday, the company said the cuts would result in the cancellation of unnamed games in development. Take-Two estimates the cuts will save around $160 million. The plan is expected to be largely complete by December 31st, 2024. So good news for everybody looking to get laid off by Christmas. That seems like exactly what's going to happen. Now you might be thinking, wait a minute, they're going to try to save $160 million. How does that work? Well, the announcement comes weeks after it was confirmed that Take-Two is going to be acquiring Borderlands maker Gearbox in a deal that's worth $460 million. So clearly they have money to throw around, but not enough to keep some of these people. Now, in fairness, when a large company acquires another company, there's often a lot of redundancies, a lot of overlap when it comes to the people doing similar work and things like that. But 600 people is a fuck ton of people. But what I'm saying is that big businesses don't like it when Venn diagrams appear on their business pie charts, for lack of a better word. Now, Take-Two CEO Strauss Zelnick had indicated that it intended to reduce costs earlier this year, but claimed at the time that there were, quote, no current plans for layoffs. Last February, the company implemented an earlier cost reduction program, which saw it trying to save an annual savings of $50 million. Just save up that money every now and then. Eventually, you'll be able to buy Gearbox and Borderlands. This resulted in a round of layoffs the following month, with staff at several divisions affected, including its indie publishing label Private Division. Now, I just want to specify that the Private Division is an indie publisher, but they are not an indie company. So what Private Division is doing is they are publishing games by indie developers. They're not an indie dev themselves. They're not an indie company, but they're an indie publisher. In the year since Take-Two's previous cost reduction program, layoffs, including layoffs, have become a frequent occurrence across the entire game industry. In the year since Take-Two's previous cost reduction program, layoffs became a more frequent occurrence across the game industry. Job losses across the industry were widespread in 2023, with 9,000 estimated layoffs, and they don't appear to be slowing down this year. The estimated number of total layoffs in 2024 so far have already reached 8,800 people. Something to keep in mind as you celebrate Borderlands and Gearbox being bought by Take-Two. Got some more news. We got more news. Listen, just because this is an early show doesn't mean it's not going to be a beefy show. We got vascularity in these news stories. Hasbro. Let's talk about them. Hasbro really liked how much money they made with Baldur's Gate 3. Hasbro, if you don't know, are the people that own Baldur's Gate and Dungeons and Dragons and all that stuff, okay? They don't own Larian Studios, the people that made the game. Larian Studios are their own people, and they make games for whoever, whenever, whatever. They're like the Orange Cassidy of video game developers. For people that are listening to the audio version, I have an Orange Cassidy t-shirt on. Hasbro's talking to lots of partners about making another Baldur's Gate game without Larian because they want money. Baldur's Gate IP owner Wizards of the Coast, which is owned by Hasbro, has addressed the future of the franchise following the news that developer Larian won't be making another game in the series because Larian is like, we want to move on. We don't want to do it. Last month, Larian boss Sven Vinke, probably butchered that name, but it wouldn't be the Glitch Report podcast if I didn't butcher somebody's name, said that Larian was moving on from the Dungeons & Dragons universe to try its hand at something else. In an interview with PC Gamer, Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast Senior Vice President of Digital Strategy and Licensing, Eugene Evans, Big E, as his friends call him, discussed the future of the franchise post-Larian, saying, quote, "We're now talking to lots of partners and being approached by lots of partners who are embracing the challenge of what does the future of Baldur's Gate franchise look like? We certainly hope that it's not another 25 years as it was from Baldur's Gate 2 to Baldur's Gate 3 before we answer that, but we're going to take our time and find the right partner, the right approach, and the right production that could represent the future of Baldur's Gate." Quote, "We take that very, very seriously as we do with all our decisions around our portfolio. We don't rush into decisions as to who to partner with and on products or what products we should be considering." Last month, Larian said they have no plans to make DLC expansions or a sequel to Baldur's Gate 3. The company said, "We are a company of big ideas. We are not a company that's made to create DLCs or expansions. We tried that actually a few times. It failed every single time. It's not our thing. Life is too short. Our ambitions are very large." So, I guess that means that you have no worries about being late to the Baldur's Gate 3 party, considering it's going to be a while before they make another game. You know, live service games? You know, your Destinies, your Fallout 76s, your Fortnites, your Grand Theft Auto Onlines. Do those represent the future of video games? Some developers are worried. This was a new survey. 70% of developers are worried about the live service model sustainability. Nearly a third are, quote, very concerned about the future of the trend. So there's a gaming news website called Game Developer. They're a great site. You should check them out. They do fantastic work. And they're they do news. They do news for the video game. They cover the video game industry news. Okay. GameDeveloper.com. Check them out. I would like to point out that I don't often reference and refer to Game Developer because they are one of the few companies and kind of publishers of news out there that are making gaming news story or producing gaming news stories for the game industry, for people that are in the industry. So this survey is by GameDeveloper.com, where they surveyed 600 developers. And these are people that follow their news stories and all that stuff. This is what Game Developer is, where Game Developer, the website, is where often game developers go to learn about the industry. Because Video Games Chronicles and IGN and GameSpot and Eurogamer and Game Informer are often producing news stories for the consumption of, for people who consume and play video games, not as much for the people who actually make them. So as part of a new survey carried out by Game Developer, 600 developers were interviewed between February and March and asked a number of questions about the business model and monetization in games. Monetization being a very hot button topic, something that comes up a lot. And the people who make the games have been asked about them. Participants were asked how concerned they were about the sustainability of live service business models commonly being used today. Of the 600 asked, 39% said that they were, quote, somewhat concerned, while a further 31% said that they were very concerned. A quarter said that they weren't concerned, while the remaining 4% didn't know. They're like, I don't know. Now, live service games are generally defined as those which continue to provide regular content after the game has been released. Regular seasons, such as regular seasons with battle passes, for example, and an attempt to keep the player engaged and ultimately encouraged to spending on the game through microtransactions and subscriptions. Of those surveyed, they said they were either somewhat or very concerned about the model sustainability. Around 2/3 said they were worried about players losing interest in live service games, or that competition from other live service games would affect theirs. For example, the new Destiny season, this new Destiny expansion comes out, and all of a sudden people that were playing Fallout 76 move on to playing Destiny, or vice versa, or whatever, right? Or if a big single player, people were playing, whatever RPG, online RPG, people that were playing World of Warcraft were like, fuck it, I'm going to go play Baldur's Gate instead. And now less people are playing that. That's kind of the concern, is that like, because you need constant meat being thrown into the meat grinder as it relates to the live service games, they're far more sensitive to competition than, say, a single player game. Now, rising user acquisition costs and development costs were also cited as a concern. And this is kind of in context to, like, we talked about it, like Warner Brothers plans to focus on live service and free to play games as well. Let's kind of take a look at this survey a little bit more closely. So 70% of developers have concerns about the sustainability of the current live service business model. One of the things they talk about is loss of interest from players and increased competition are the major drivers of sustainability concerns. So they were asked, what are your main concerns about the sustainability of live service business models? 63% said they were concerned about players losing interest in live service games in general. 62% said competition from other live service games. 47% said rising user acquisition costs. 34% said rising development costs. 20% said competition from other entertainment. Why would I go play Destiny 2 when I could go watch Fallout the TV show on Prime, or I could get into watching WWE or Shogun, or these are just things that I watch, but you know what I mean, right? 12% said they were concerned about loss of interest from other investors. Basically, the concern is that live service games are this giant unwieldy pyramid that could topple over at any moment if the base, the players that spend money and play the game, lose interest. That's the concern. Which leads to, unable to recoup development costs, unable to spend money on further development. Investors lose interest, the money people pull out, and then whoops, you're just a game that people forgot about. Interesting. Something to consider. We've talked about monetization. We've talked about season passes and pre-order bonuses and all that stuff. Ubisoft has responded to criticism of the Star Wars Outlaws season pass exclusive mission. I can't believe we need to talk about this. Ay, ay, ay. But here we are. Let's do it. Remember we said that the Jabba the Hutt Gambit mission was going to be exclusive to people who get the season pass of Star Wars Outlaws. People were concerned that they were going to lock my man Jabba the Hutt behind the $110 premium edition, meaning if you bought the game, you would not be able to experience the Hutt himself without having the expensive version of the game. Ubisoft did clarify. Here's what Ubisoft said. To clarify, Jabba the Hutt and the Hutt Cartel are one of the main syndicates in Star Wars Outlaws and will be part of the experience for everyone who purchases the game, regardless of the edition they get. The Jabba's Gambit mission is an optional additional mission with the Hutt Cartel along Kay and Nyx's journey across the Outer Rim. This mission will be available to those who purchase the season pass or an edition of the game which includes the season pass. Now, they did not straight up say that Jabba the Hutt will be available in the game for people who do not buy the expensive edition. But the expansion pass that you get with the game will have 2 additional narrative expansions coming after launch, and will also include a day 1 exclusive mission with Jabba called Jabba's Gambit. So, does this mean are they saying the Jabba the Hutt? I can't believe we're fucking talking about this. Oh my God, well, listen, if I was a hardcore Star Wars fan and I was looking forward to playing a game in which Jabba the Hutt existed at the time, in the timeline of Star Wars. I get whatever. No, people should be mad. No, fuck it. People, no, raise your pitchforks and demand better Jabba the Hutt representation in your video games. Okay, it's 100. Okay, let's say that you can do missions for Jabba the Hutt in the base game. But if you want more of a taste of the Hutt man himself, I don't even know if Jabba the Hutt's a dude. The way he has women dressed up, I'm assuming he's a dude, but I don't know. But let's say in order to get a bigger taste of Jabba the Hutt, you do need to spend $110 for the premium edition. Now hear me out. How much would it cost? How much extra do I need to pay to get Jabba the Hutt in the game, but instead of him looking like Jabba the Hutt, he looks like Pizza the Hutt from Spaceballs? Do I have to pay 170? Okay. I'm clapping because I'm just so excited. I'm going to give Ubisoft $200 and I want everything in the game to be the exact same. Give me the Jabba the Hutt cartel missions, the Jamba Juice, whatever the fuck, the Jabba's Gabbit mission. I want everything the same. But for $200, when I look at the character model of Jabba the Hutt, he looks like Pizza the Hutt. That's all I ask. Get Mel Brooks involved. Give that money to Mel Brooks. I don't know what, going back to the idea of where does the money go? I don't care where the money goes. I just want Jabba the Hutt to look like Pizza the Hutt. And instead of giving them $110 or $160, whatever it costs, I will give them 200 of the Lauriers. I'll give them 200 loonies. But I want Jabba the Hutt to look like Pizza the Hutt. I'm a simple man, but no one out pizzas the Hutt. Whoo! Going off the rails of the crazy train. All right, this is the last news story, and then we're going to try to transition into games I've been playing. The Fallout games have seen Steam player counts more than triple following the release of the show. Who would have thought, right? That people were going to watch the show and then be like, fuck it, I need more Fallout in my life, so they go and play the games. So let's talk some numbers, all right? Let's do some Scott Steiner math. You see me and Samoa Joe, if we was to go one-on-one, you'd have a 50%. We're not going to do the Scott Steiner math promo, but go look up Scott Steiner math promo. It's good stuff. Here we go. The show, which is exclusive to Amazon Prime, was released in full on April 12th to widespread critical acclaim with a current Rotten Tomatoes rating of 94%. As an apparent result of the show's success, Steam Database points out that a number of the Fallout games have enjoyed a large increase in concurrent player counts on Steam following the release. So this is only Steam metrics, but we can assume that people playing on Xbox and PlayStation and whatever PC, whatever elsewhere, are also getting into the game. So this is just Steam Database numbers, but still interesting to look at. Steam Database posted on Twitter suggested the games have been more than doubling their concurrent player counts, and numbers have continued to rise for some Fallout games are seeing more than triple their usual numbers. Now, the biggest leap was enjoyed by Fallout 4, which has been regularly hitting around 2,000, which has been regularly hitting about 20,000 to 24,000 players for the last 6 months. So for the last 6 months, on weekend peaks, about 20,000 to 24,000 people have been playing Fallout 4 on the weekend on Steam. However, that saw a peak of 83,491 players on Sunday, more than tripling its normal player count. Now, Fallout 76 also saw a large number jump, shooting up from a 3-month best of around 13,000 players to 39,455 players on Steam, breaking its all-time peak player count. Even older games saw success. Fallout New Vegas, rising from around 5,000 to 19,505 on Sunday. Fallout 3 Game of the Year Edition went from around 1,000 to 6,731. It was also reported that the TV show has been renewed for a second season, with production moving to California as part of a tax incentive. Because why let Amazon pay their taxes when you can just produce another TV show? Anyways, turns out people are getting into Fallout in more ways than one, which is always exciting to see. We're going to take one final break. When we come back, we're going to talk more Fallout, so don't go anywhere. We're going to talk some Horizon Forbidden West, so stick around. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Glitch Report. I continue to be GnittWitt. I have not been replaced by members of the deep state. I don't have an AI version of myself to record this podcast. There's no clones of me out there. So I guess I just want to say sorry to all the haters as we continue on this show. Whew, sorry to all my haters. All right, let's talk video games. I mean, why start now? But anyways, Fallout. I have been itching to play some Fallout since the show came out. That shouldn't surprise a lot of people. So here's what I did. I went and I bought the Fallout season pass, the expansion pass or whatever that comes with Far Harbor and Nuka World and all of that stuff. I got that downloaded, ready to go. And I was going to fire it up, and then I remembered, oh, wait, that big update is coming out August 25th. Or sorry, August 25th, April 25th. So that's coming out in a week. So I'm going to probably hold off on playing some Fallout 4. Fallout 4 has the expansion pass. Fallout 4 has a big update. So I'm going to hold off on playing Fallout 4 for some time. So then I was like, well, I bought that, it was on sale. It was like $12 or something for all that content. So that's cool. And I was like, well, I want to play Fallout, but I don't want to play Fallout 4 just yet because, I'm waiting for that big update. So what I did is I actually fired up Fallout 1 and 2. I fired up Fallout 1 and 2. Never played them before. They're very old PC games, and I'm here to tell you right now, they are not for me. They are old and rickety and archaic, and while they are very good at presenting Fallout the way I kind of recognize it, those games are not for me. So I bounced off Fallout 1 and 2, and I was like, I don't really want to go back to 3. 3 is good. If I played 3, 3's good, 3's fine, but I don't really want to go back and play 3. So I fired up some New Vegas, and I was running around New Vegas, and I was like, yeah, New Vegas is cool. New Vegas is very good. But I think I want more of something that I can poke at occasionally until I'm ready to fully commit to some more significant playthrough of Fallout, which is what led me to Fallout 76. Now, Fallout 76 is the online multiplayer Fallout game. You can play that game by yourself, but you will be running around a world that has other people in it at any given time. If you want to interact with people, trade with people, talk with people, team up with people, whatever. It is an online game in that sense. And I was like, yeah, I remember playing a little bit of Fallout 76, kind of bounced off it. I'll give it another chance. It turns out I've maybe put like 3 hours into Fallout 76 my entire time playing it. So please know that I am coming from a place of mostly ignorant. Well, listen, if you've been listening to the show, I've been talking about my ass for 90 episodes. Well, the point is I'm coming to Fallout 76 with a sense of ignorance. So please bear with me as I talk about Fallout 76. Fallout 76 gets you up and running very, very quickly. Like there's very little story setup and premise. You're not doing the big intro sequence like you are in 4 and all that stuff. You are out of that vault. Like basically you wake up in Vault 76 and there's a message saying, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. So they kick you out of the vault pretty quickly. And you might be thinking, okay, well, but Fallout has such stories to them. What is kind of the context around it? And the idea is that like in 76, you are, kind of out there it's known that people are leaving the vaults in Fallout 76. It's no surprise People are leaving the vaults in 76 to go repopulate the world. So when you meet people in Fallout 76, it's not like, oh my God, you're the chosen one. Oh my God. And it's like, oh yeah, we see vault dwellers all the time because it's not a new thing. Right? In fact, in the very minor spoilers, well, not really fuck it, I'll say it anyways. You know, in the Fallout games, when you leave the vault, they have a big dramatic, like the doors are opening, the gears are turning, things are spinning, there's noise and smoke and all this stuff as the vault opens. In Fallout 76, the vault's already open. Like you just walk out. There's no like big dramatic reveal or whatever. And I think the reason they do that is because Fallout 76 does have a less of an emphasis on story compared to the other games. What Fallout 6 is really trying to go for, even if you don't play it as a multiplayer game, is it is more of a Fallout simulator. You are simulating the Fallout experience. And let me explain. So in Fallout, it also, first of all, mechanically and the way it plays and the way it feels, it is very similar, nearly identical to something like Fallout 4. So if you played Fallout 4, you have a pretty good idea of how Fallout 76 plays, but let me just share a couple of things. In Fallout 4, one of the big changes that they implemented in the game was the idea that you can build up settlements. You know, when you get back to your hometown, you can rebuild, you can add beds in different buildings and add, you know, turrets and upgrade stations, and you can have people foraging for food, and you can put a doctor's office in your base so that you don't have to go back to other towns. You can always visit your hometown to get your doctor to look at you and give you drugs and sell stuff and all that stuff. So that was one of the big things that they implemented in Fallout 4 was like, hey, now you can basically slowly start to rebuild something that resembles civilization, right? And you start out in Fallout 4 doing it in your hometown, but as you progress in Fallout 4, you can actually build multiple settlements. Like it kind of gets crazy with how many optional settlements you can build in that game. But one of the cool things is that you can trade resources with your settlements. So if you're in some other, you know, buttfuck part of Boston with a settlement and you want to have people exchange goods with your main base or anything, you can totally do that if you want. One of the other things is that, you know, they're in Fallout is they further in Fallout 4, they furthered the idea of crafting upgrades and, you know, perks and bonuses for your weapons, for your items, for your armor. In Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas, you actually need to repair your equipment. Your gun will get damaged over time as you use it. Your baseball bat with barbed wire, you know, you can upgrade that baseball bat to add barbed wire to it. I mean, who wouldn't? But it will start to break and deteriorate over time. What Fallout 4 did is they removed the need to constantly repair your items, which to me, I would say, thank God. I get it. It does add more survivability and you know, kind of add more stress to the game when you're worried that like, oh, I only have so many more shots before I got to go repair this gun. But in Fallout 4, instead, what they focus on is just the creativity around, oh, I put a silencer on this pistol. I put I made my shotgun, a sawed off shotgun or all that stuff. It just allows you to customize stuff to your heart's content. In Fallout 76, they go even further with the customization of your weapons, but things do degrade and you do need to repair them. So it's more stress on terms of resource management in Fallout 76 compared to something like Fallout 4, which is why I was going to save this till the end, but I'm going to tell people right now, if you have not played Fallout 4, you should play Fallout 4 before you play 76. If you feel like you want a more serious, you know, serious is such a strong word. But if you feel like you want to have more survival stress in your Fallout game, then play 76, but don't if you haven't played 4. One of the other things in Fallout 76 is that you need to eat food and you need to drink water. In Fallout 4, you do not need to worry about thirst or food. If you drink water, it'll regain your health. In 4, if you drink water, it'll regain your health. If you eat food, it'll regain your health. If you eat irradiated food, you will get radiation poisoning and damage. If you drink irradiated water, same thing. But at the end of the day, if you consume that stuff, it will still give you some health back. Now, of course, there is still the situation around radiation, right? If you take radiation damage, your maximum health will decrease. So if you eat food or drink water or heal yourself, it'll only go up to a certain cap, which is the same in Fallout 76. It's just that regaining radiation damage, or sorry, regaining your radiation health back is a slower, longer period of time. When you take a stim pack, which is your like kind of health kit, that heals you at a slower pace as well, which is something that you could apply in Fallout 4 if you want. But honestly, when I play Fallout 4, I just want to heal myself quickly. I want to regain that radiation damage, and I don't want to worry about a lot of managing health systems in Fallout generally. But in Fallout 76, that is the name of the game. You are managing more of that stuff. The other thing is that in Fallout 4, certain items and stuff will have weight to it. So you can only carry so many items before you are burdened and you move slower and you can't run and jump. In 76, there are more items that will have weight distributed to them, which means you are managing more of your inventory in terms of, I got to travel light. I got to dump stuff in my inventory, in my stash before I go out. The idea is that you are kind of prepping for these journeys, these expeditions, maybe a little more in Fallout 76 than you would in 4, which I think makes it fun and dynamic of like, okay, I have this amount of food with me. I have this amount of water with me. I have this amount of health pack. I have X amount of bullets. So if I don't find what I'm looking for when I go out on an adventure, or if I go wander around, I need to make sure to come back home as quickly as possible because I don't have what it takes to survive out in the elements to the same degree because of the kind of the resource grind, for lack of a better word, that exists in 76 compared to 4. With all of that said, I still don't recommend Fallout 76 to people who haven't played 4. And I think 4 is a great game. Plays well. And if you do want that sense of struggle, that sense of resource management, you can adjust the difficulty settings to some extent in Fallout 4 if that is your thing. But for people who are like new to Fallout or whatever, put it on the easiest difficulty and just wander around and go look for shit and kill stuff and upgrade your loot and do all that stuff. Don't worry too much about, should I, experience the radiation damaging to make life more stressful? Like, nah, just go out there and do your thing. And then if you play a lot of Fallout 4 and you're like, I would like to better manage those systems because I think having stressful gameplay or more stressful gameplay elements is fun, then great, 76 is for you. With that said, again, the narrative hooks are not quite there in 76, for me, at least yet. I haven't played with a lot of other people, but I am enjoying the idea of maybe living off the land and being a little more careful with resource management in 76 than I was in 4. So with that said, I'm going to probably keep poking at keep poking at 76. I am enjoying it, but again, it is more of a management survival system style game than compared to something like in 4. But I still got to get back to Horizon Forbidden West, man. We are a month away from Ghost of Tsushima coming to PC. I have got to get my rear in gear and finish Horizon Forbidden West, which probably means that some long sessions playing Horizon Forbidden West in the near future. I've been, people are going to play open world games and games differently, but in Horizon, I found myself playing it for like maybe an hour every couple of days, like not for a deep play session and not very frequently. And that is not, in my opinion, that's not the way to play these big open world games. If you're going to do it, commit like 2-3 hours per session, and you probably are going to want to play it, fairly frequently in order to remember what you're doing, what the mechanics are, the story, allow yourself to get distracted from other things in the game, the collectibles and whatnot. But I have not maybe been playing Horizon Forbidden West as seriously as I would like to. So I got to get back to that, which means if I do play Fallout 76, it'll be in a very casual manner. at least for the time being. And then I've not finished the Fallout TV show. I have like maybe 3 episodes left. I'm hoping by the next podcast, I will be done with the show. I will never spoil the show. There'll be no spoiler talks, but I do got to get to that at some point as well. And I think realistically, that's going to do it for the show for this. Oh my goodness. My throat is going to give out. So I guess it is time to wrap the show up. But I have been GnittWitt. You can find everything that I do over at my Linktree, linktree.com/GnittWitt, GnittWitt, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram. I do got to record some more TikToks, so I will be doing that once the throat is feeling a little bit better. But did a lot of talking on this show, on this episode. But like I said, in general, I'm looking forward to playing more Fallout 4. I'm looking forward to playing more Fallout 76. I'm looking forward to Ghost of Tsushima coming out. I do really got to put the, buckle down and play some more Horizon Forbidden West. So maybe we'll have more Horizon Forbidden West to talk about next week on the podcast. Maybe I'll try to stream some Horizon Forbidden West as well. We'll see. Maybe Friday. Maybe I stream it on. I have Sunday off, so maybe I'll do some streaming Sunday morning. I don't know. Sunday morning, rain is falling, or whatever the lyrics are to that Maroon 5 song. But that's it. I've been GnittWitt. That's Glitch Report. We'll do it all again next week. Regular scheduled time, unless something weird happens, in which case we'll do it. I think the plan is going forward. If I can't stream Thursday morning for the podcast, I will try to do Wednesday. And then if it's not Wednesday, it'll have to be Friday. But I would rather do an early show for those that support the show and all that stuff than do a late show. But yeah, that's it. We're done. I gotta stop this. Stop the madness. Just end the show. End it all. We'll see you next time. Take it easy.